And here we basically do what Natalia just described, and we hope to see you at orientation week then.
Very good. Thank you very much, Maria Camila. Then Lauren, are you with us?
I am here as well. Hi, everybody. I do this. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Do the same thing as Maria Camila, but I work with the recruitment partners that we have. So some of you might be through Greenheart or API Abroad, and I work with the partners to get all your documents and visas and things sorted.
Thank you, Lauren. Then Charlotte, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everyone. Really nice to meet you. So yeah, my name is Charlotte and I'm from Belgium. And I basically do the same thing as Maria Camila and Lauren. And I'll be here to answer any questions that you may have related to the admission process or arrival in Colombia.
Thank you very much. And Corinne, I don't know if you're here today.
Okay. No, she's not.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. They will be introducing the visa process at the end of the presentation. Then we have a legal team, Catalina Botero and Daniel Embrat. Now I would like to invite Nathan to talk to us a little bit about what SENA is and what they do.
Excellent, thanks Juan. So SENA is a public university in Colombia. It has many, many branches, and you can find it in almost all departments in Colombia. So when you go to universities at home, you're usually in one place, or you might have like a remote branch. SENA is spread out and has a couple hundred branches all over the country. So you might find multiple SENA centers in big cities like Bogota, or you might go into little tiny pueblos and find one SENA center in the town. But they're all connected and they're all free. Like Juan had mentioned earlier, this is the first year that the Colombian government has decided to spend more money on education than on military. So SENA itself is expanding, and with that, our program is expanding too. We're reaching more centers and more pueblos and more cities and more students than ever before. So like it says here, it is the largest public educational institution in Colombia. There are some requirements though, if you are going to be a student at SENA. SENA is specifically targeted for low-income families or vulnerable students, so people from pueblos and students who can't afford to go to private universities. So for these low-income families who fall below minimum or maximum salary, they fall below that limit, they can actually enroll in SENA for free. And they're like, those Colombian students aged anywhere from, I've seen 16 to 50 years old, they can receive a free 2-year educational program in whatever career is offered in their city. And so SENA offers many, many, many different careers to students. If you have students who are good with their hands, they might be able to do jobs in welding and building and construction and furniture making. If you have students who are really good at speaking, they might be in tourism or hotel. You have students who go into cooking careers, they go into like coffee careers, they go into farming careers. And SENA offers many, many, many different types of careers for all the different types of students that are out there in Colombia. So SENA's program works as a 2-year program. For about 1.5 years, the students go to their center 5 or 6 days a week, and they receive all the hands-on training they can, whether it's workshops or out in the field or in hotels or practicing English, whatever it is for their career. And then for the last 6 months of their program, they enter into a work practicum. So the government actually gives tax breaks to companies who hire SENA students to come on and do like an internship for 6 months. So it actually gives these students the ability to work for 6 months in an organization or in a company and get paid the minimum wage. So when they complete this 2-year program, they're certified. They have 6 months paid experience under their belt in an organization, and they are ready to enter the normal workforce out there in Colombia on their own with, I guess you could say, the experience needed to succeed. I think that's SENA in a nutshell, what it offers to students and Colombians. Thanks, Juan.
And then we have a little bit of, do you want to talk a little bit about the center responsibilities?
Sure. Yeah, so responsibilities for centers, especially when you volunteers arrive there, you will have a mentor who is underneath the coordinator. So the coordinator is going to help organize your schedules. The mentor is going to be someone who kind of looks after you in your school and kind of looks after your experience overall, looks after your classes and those sort of things. So when you arrive to your home city, you will have a kind of like a welcome induction into your center, where you'll get to meet all the staff members in the office. You'll get to meet all the other English teachers in the school. You'll get to meet all the other career teachers in the school as well. So we hope that when you go to work, you will feel like you are accepted and welcomed into your new work life. Everyone who you might run into on a normal day. You'll meet your students as well, and the school will get to know you as the foreigner for this year, and you'll probably become pretty famous pretty fast. So we try and provide you as much support as we can in the center, and there's people in the center there who on a normal day can provide you support however you need. We have implemented a co-teaching model this year as a benefit to Colombian English instructors and for students themselves. We are implementing co-teaching, so you guys as foreigners, as native English speakers, can work side by side with the Colombian teachers to raise their English and bring sort of like a new dynamic to class. So you're gonna raise the Colombian teacher's English so that after your 6-month or maybe your year program's finished, that Colombian teacher is left with a higher level English, and the program can eventually become self-sustaining. So those are some things that you'll run into when you start working. Juan, is there anything else you'd like me to add?
No, that's great. Thank you very much, Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we're gonna invite Derek to talk to us about the responsibilities for our team, VC team.
Yeah. So a lot of you, like Lauren said before, with recruitment, we work with a lot of different partners to bring volunteers from all over the world to this program. But once you arrive to Colombia, Volunteers Colombia is the organization that operates the program on the ground. So no matter where you kind of, where you sent your application into, who you've been dealing with leading up to arrival, once you arrive in Colombia, Volunteers Colombia is really the organization that takes care of you and really is in charge of the program as is. So of course we have a lot of responsibilities in order to have the program run smoothly. First and foremost, we assign the placement. So at this point, with the recruitment team, you should be in communication with them about the placement cities. I believe you've all been assigned the city, so you know where you're going to be going. That's a process that our organization takes very seriously. That's why the application process is so rigorous, and we do the interviews in order to get your feedback, to understand your profile, in order to make a good match with you and the centers that we work with. Keep in mind those centers and the placements are vetted for safety. So if you are concerned about safety, especially working with low-income communities, do keep in mind that we do have that in our minds as we're working with the different centers. We don't want to put you in any risk at all during your time here working in the SENA. But of course, like I said, we do keep the placements open based on the different needs of the institution. So the schools, the SENA centers that request volunteers is the ones that we send volunteers to, and that changes each semester. So there's different openings, different times of the year. We also facilitate the support at a programs level. We are in charge of being kind of the liaison between SENA as an institution and the volunteers working in the different centers. So facilitating that support, a lot of it is through communication, where like I said, we're kind of the liaison, and we want to be able to get your constant feedback, on the program so that we can be improving, so that we can be offering, suggestions to SENA as well, because we're very open to growth and development within our programs to make it a better experience for everyone involved. It's very important for us as well to be assessing our impact. This year we're starting to implement a prueba Ale. It's an oral exam that we're starting to implement with our SENA students as a way to start measuring the impact of having our volunteers in the different centers. But in addition to that, we're doing other, more like numbers, more quantifiers to be able to assess our impact throughout the country. Like Nate said, SENA is nationwide, and so we have a huge reach working with communities in all different parts of the country, which is really, really exciting. We have a really big scope with this program. VC is also the organization that is in charge of your monthly stipends, your local insurance, which is called EPS, and we assist with the visa process. That first point is really important. Remember this, that the monthly stipend and the bonus and all of the money things for the volunteers, that is through Volunteers Colombia. What that means is that, if there are any issues or delays or anything comes up, if you have questions about payments, please, direct those questions to your regional coordinator, who is, through Volunteers Colombia, because SENA is not directly hiring you. SENA is not directly paying you. So if you were to talk to someone from SENA about that, they would have no idea what to tell you. So just remember, Volunteers Colombia is the one that is in charge of kind of those logistical things, especially with money. If you have anything come up, let us know immediately so that we can assist you with that. And also, Volunteers Colombia is the organization that provide this training. I'm sure most of you know that there's a training in Bogota prior to arriving in your host city, and we're the ones that set that all up and do the different sessions. So a lot of we have sessions that are kind of cultural, talking about safety, health, wellness, health, stuff like that. We also do in that training a day for a logistics fair, so we get you set up with your bank account. We get you blood tested if you don't know your blood type, because that's a requirement for the national ID. Just a lot of logistical things. We just get you signed up for your insurance here in Colombia. So that's a crucial part of the training, to get everything kind of set up logistically. And then we get into our TEFL training. So we have multiple days of TEFL training, which is really important for us. We know that some of you have background in teaching. Some of you, have CELTAs or TEFLs, and that's great. But for us, it's really important to assure quality in this program. And like I said, some of you have a lot of experience. A lot of you have certificates, but some of you don't. Some volunteers come with zero experience or very little experience teaching. And so it's our obligation as an organization to make sure that we have at least a minimum understanding with all of our volunteers. And even those of you that do have experience, it's really great to have you in our training, TEFL training, because you are able to provide even more experience. You're able to provide examples from the countries that you've taught in. And also, it's really great to learn some techniques and different kind of nuances when working in Colombia specifically. So that's a really important part of our training, is the TEFL component. And we are also planning to, at the end of the TEFL sessions, get you at least get you into the SENA classroom in Bogota and apply some of those components that you've been working on in the training, to kind of do a little practicum, get a little experience before you arrive into your host city. Next, I wanted to talk a little bit about regional coordinators. So like I said, Volunteers Colombia is your in-country operator, and really your main point of contact is going to be your regional coordinator. That's the group of 12 people that Juan introduced a little bit earlier. And Nate and I are both regional coordinators. So this is the role that kind of is closest to you, because we live out in the different regions. So we live, we have coordinators in all of the different regions in Colombia, and they're the ones that are able to provide you support, on a day-to-day basis. So we are the first point of contact for the volunteers. If you have any issues, like I said, bank issues, issues with your SENA center, if you're, have some questions about co-teaching or anything pedagogical, really the coordinator is your first point of contact, the first person that you can ask these questions to. We're the ones out in the regions that provide support, feedback, and encouragement to the volunteers. We do, we have a lot of different events. We do a lot of follow-up with you to provide you that support. Specifically with cultural adjustment, in the first couple of weeks to the first month even, it can be difficult to adjust to your new city, and so we're there to help you kind of get settled, get a little more integrated, and support you in those moments of culture shock that are bound to happen. We're also there for health issues or emergency situations. If you were able to get sick or injured, we're the ones, the immediate response system to be able to help you in navigating the medical system here in Colombia. Center-specific issues, like I said, any issues with your mentor, your teacher, co-teacher, students, we can be there to support you, give you some tips, hold meetings with your mentors to do some kind of mediations in order to try to solve out these issues. Communication, some of you will arrive with very little Spanish. I definitely encourage you to take this opportunity to be in Colombia and practice Spanish and improve your own Spanish as much as you can. That's a great opportunity. But of course, if you do have limited Spanish, it can be difficult sometimes to, get some things done, like at the bank or whatever. So the RC is also available to help you with any communication issues you might have. It's also part of our responsibilities to conduct class observations throughout the semester. And so those are really important moments that we can visit the center, be in your classroom and give you that direct feedback. It's for everyone that we do these observations, and it's seen as a good opportunity for professional development. So we like to, see what you guys are doing in the classroom and give you some ways to maybe, change or improve in order to become even better teachers. We also hold pedagogy and cultural workshops as a way just to kind of keep contact with you guys, keep you thinking of different ways to teach, ways to look at the culture, and just kind of, just get together and talk about your experience. We also we conduct monthly meetings with the SENA mentors to follow up on your progress in the center, get any feedback from SENA that is important. We provide administrative support, if just checking lists and making sure you get your stipends and everything like that. And then city adjustment, just like the culture adjustment. Like I said, we're living in the region. So Nate's in Medellin. And so he, if you're arriving to Medellin, he's able to tell you, hey, this is a good neighborhood to live in. This is, maybe not so good. Oh, this restaurant's really great. So it's just, it's good because we're all out in the regions and we can give you a little bit more specific information about each city that you're going to be arriving to. Anything else? Yeah, like I said, the coordinators are your first point of contact. And we work, very closely with the office and the administrative staff of VC. So, it's easiest just to filter your questions or concerns through the coordinator, and we'll take care of the issues as they come up.
Thank you very much, Derek.
No worries.
Now, we would like to invite our recruitment team to talk to you about your visa process. So,
hi guys. We can both talk. So with direct recruits, you guys will be in contact with Camila and Charlotte about they'll be overseeing your entire visa process. Make sure if you haven't applied, please apply now. and make sure to use their email address, because it's better if there arises a problem with, for example, your photos blurry or anything that happens. It's written in Spanish, so if you use your own email, then you might overlook it or anything. So this way, Camila, Charlotte, and I can all keep track of your visa progression. So check, as I was saying, check your email for an email from your advisor or recruiter. I'm in contact with all of you who are through recruiters, so I've been sending them the publications or any of you that has been applying, so we're keeping track of that way. Once you arrive to Colombia, please make sure that you bring either the letter, if your visa is not approved by the time that you fly in, make sure that you bring the SENA invitation letter, visa invitation letter, so that they know that you've applied for your visa and that you're not trying to stay here illegally, because that could be complicated. And if not, if you do have your visa approved, just go ahead and bring the visa PDF copy that your recruiter or your advisor will be sending you directly. And again, if your visa is not approved before you arrive, it's totally fine. For Americans, people from Europe, Australians, Canadians, there is a list of restricted countries, and you know who you are. And we're working very hard to make sure that all of you have your visas approved before you enter, because you require a visa upon entry. So only a specific number of countries. And make sure your immigration officer actually stamps your passport. That's actually super important as well. So just make sure that you follow these steps.
Hey, Lauren, could you go back a second? Juan, Lauren, could you talk real quick, if my visa, the volunteer's visa is not approved and they have to go through the tourist permit, some of them have issues with the flights.
Right. Okay.
Can you explain that, just because sometimes they don't know about it and then they arrive to the airport and they have some issues. So just to keep that in mind before they fly.
Okay, good point. Okay, so if your visa is not approved before you fly, some airlines, including Copa, this actually happened to me, if you do not have a return ticket back, or if you don't have a bus ticket outside of Colombia, the airline will not permit you to board the plane, because as a tourist, you'll enter the country on a tourist permit if you do not have your visa already approved. But some airlines will not allow you on the plane, because you will only be able to be in country for 90 days, and there's no proof that you will be leaving the country or that you will be able to legally stay in the country after those 90 days. So in the event that this happens, don't worry, there's a website called flyonward.com, as you can see in the PowerPoint, and they will rent you a ticket for $10 for about 24 to 48 hours. And then the moment you walk through customs in Colombia, they cancel your ticket. So you don't have to pay for a ticket. Some other participants have put tickets on hold and reserve so that it looks like they've purchased a ticket, but this way you don't have to worry about making sure that you cancel your flight, and it'll just be good to go. I would definitely call your airline and check and make sure that you don't either need a return ticket or that they're fine with you just flying one way without having a return flight or a visa, in the event that your visa is not approved. A lot of that might have been complicated. Okay.
Then do you want to talk about this? What happens in the cases where you need to switch from another program?
Sure. Okay. So this was a bigger event for our last orientation, where we had a few participants who had already signed up with the Ministry of Education program, and they couldn't arrive to Ministry of Education program due to flight issues, family issues, whatever. And they deferred their application to the SENA orientation. In the event that that happens, you arrive here with your current visa, with the Ministry of Education. We have to cancel it on a platform. Sorry, motorcycle. We have to cancel it on the platform, and then you reapply through the same online application. And with the only thing that's different is you saying who your job is through, which is SENA. And then you get approved, and then we get the new visa stamped into your passport.
Lauren, do we have any of those, any volunteers in that situation this time, or is that?
We have one.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So like Lauren said, I mean, this is just a specific situation. Some people originally applied to be in the ministry program, and then they switched to the SENA program. and depending on their visa status, when they decide to switch or when that switch is made, then it can complicate the visa a bit. So for that one volunteer that is in that situation, we've done it before, and we'll help you through it, because it does require canceling the old visa and then applying for the new SENA visa. I also wanted to point out that it's really important to keep in mind that you have 15 days, 15 calendar days to apply for the cédula. The cédula is your national ID. It's like a driver's license kind of thing. It's a national ID in Colombia, and it's required for everyone in this program. It's required for anyone actually who is staying in Colombia more than 3 months. So if you arrive to Colombia for the orientation, if you arrive on that Sunday of orientation, don't worry about it. Just enter, as Lauren was describing, arrive to the orientation, and we actually have a day during our training that we will take you to get, to apply for that ID with the group. So what I'm specifically, trying to warn is for those of you who are planning to arrive early to Colombia. We had a couple of volunteers last time around that decided to come, 2 weeks early to Colombia to travel, which is great. That's fine. If you arrive early to the orientation, then it's on you, of course, to pay for lodging and travel. But that's some people like to do that, which is great. But if that's the case, if you arrive to Colombia with your SENA visa, and you wait 15 days, I don't know how to describe it. We had a volunteer that she got her visa stamped into her passport in Canada at the consulate there. She arrived to Colombia like a month early to travel, which is awesome. But then those 15 calendar days had passed. And so when she got to orientation and we went through the process with the group, she had to pay a fine because she hadn't applied. So like I said, if you arrive to orientation normal, don't worry about it. We'll help you get it, applied for with the group. But if you are deciding to arrive early, make sure that you know that you have 15 days to go to Migración, to the migration office, to get that taken care of. Let me know if you have questions.
Yeah, and specific.
We have a question and
Specifically,
answer.
there are two. Sorry, Derek.
Sorry, go ahead.
Specifically, there are two things. There's the visa stamp, which you also, from the moment you arrive in Colombia, you have 15 days to get that stamped into your passport. Should you already be here and your visa is already published, you would need to get that stamp in the Cancillería. Why am I skipping? Is it fine? Hello?
Yes,
Okay. So again, to reiterate, there's two things, getting the visa stamped and getting the cédula. In the event that you are already here or that you are arriving early, you have 15 from the moment your visa is published. When Camila, Charlotte, or your recruiter sends you the virtual PDF copy of your visa, from the moment that you arrive in Colombia, you have 15 calendar days to get the visa stamped into your passport. In the event that you arrive on the 5th or the 4th, normally, again, like Derek said, we will be doing all of that at the Cancillería for a day that's specifically for that, for getting your passport stamped and getting your cédula. In the event that you come early, you have 15 calendar days from the moment you arrive in Colombia, or if you're already here, you have the 15 days from the moment that your visa is published to go to the Cancillería and get your visa stamped. Otherwise, that also has a fine if you wait more than 15 days. So there's 15 days for both the stamp and to pick up your cédula.
Very good. Thank you very much, Lauren. And Derek, for that very detailed explanation on what's going to happen with your visa process. So now we would like to open the floor for some questions. Like we said before, just please write your question in the group chat, and we'll start reading them aloud and we answer your questions. So go ahead. Anybody have questions? If you still haven't been able to figure out how to write the question, you can unmute yourself and ask the question. Okay, we have the first question from Amanda. My visa was published today, so I have 15 days from today to arrive and get the stamp in my passport. And will we do that as a group?
Hi, Amanda. So if you are in Colombia, then you have 15 days from today to get your stamp in your passport. If you're in the States, if you're wherever, if you're in your home country, you have 15 days from the moment you arrive to Colombia to get the visa stamped in your passport. If you arrive on the 5th, sorry, it started to rain over here, so I might get a little noisy. So if you are coming on June 5th, then we will have a day with the group scheduled to go get everything stamped together, no complications, and everything will be good to go. But in the event that you are here in Colombia, you do have 15 days to pick up the stamp. And if that's the case, please message your recruiter or your advisor, and we can get someone to go with you to the Cancilleria to get your stamp.
Thank you, Lauren.
No worries.
Anybody else? The program starts on the 5th until a recruitment team. Do you have the?
So I'm not sure. I assume, Jennifer, you mean the training. So the program starts on the 5th, the Sunday, June 5th is when everyone should arrive to Bogota for the training. That training goes, it's about a week and a half. We go until the 16th. So that's the following Thursday, June 16th, is when the training in Bogota ends. So that Thursday, June 16th, is when you guys will all be flying or busing out to your placement cities, and begin, your in like the SENA center training. So you'll get more of an induction. For example, let's say you're going to Barranquilla. So you have the VC kind of general, the TEFL training, logistics, the visa, all of that kind of stuff will be taken care of in the training in Bogota, which is the 5th through the 16th of June. And then, like I said, that 16th is when you fly out. So that's when you would fly to Barranquilla. And then you would start your induction with the SENA center in Barranquilla that you're working with. So that's when you would go, you would meet your mentor, you would meet your co-teachers. They would, set up your schedule, kind of, introduce you to other volunteers if there are other volunteers at that center, and kind of start you, get you situated at the center. You would start doing observations and establish then with your mentor the date that you would begin teaching. As far as like the whole program itself, your contract would go until the 15th of December. So you would have you'd have the semester, you'd have about 6 months in the center to be working with your co-teachers. And of course, if you have a great experience, if you've enjoyed it and want to stay longer, there will be an option to extend. I believe Lauren is in charge of that. So she will be, towards the end of the semester, maybe October, November, we'll be reaching out to everyone to let them know the process of extension. Like I said, it's completely optional. But if you were having a good time and wanted to stay longer in Colombia, then Lauren would be reaching out to you and explaining that process of extending into 2017.
Okay. We have another question from Tim. I read somewhere that it is advised that we bring 300 cash with us to Bogota. After that, any money we we need should be withdraw with an ATM card in Colombia. Is this correct? Or should we take money out of an ATM upon arrival so it is in COP? Financial startup advice, please.
I think that if you were to bring cash, then the places that you're going to be able to exchange it at for Colombian pesos are going to take a higher percentage than maybe your bank would for doing just like a withdrawal fee. Tim, I'm not sure where you're from, but it is advisable to just double check like money exchange here and accounts to make sure that I can actually go through. So if you do bring cash with you, if you do decide to do that, then you know it can actually be transferred. We had a volunteer who came with New Zealand dollars. He kind of did what you were asking, but there were no currency exchange places that actually took his money. So he had to actually send his money back home to get it into his account. And then he ended up withdrawing it over here. So you're from the USA. I think, Derek, do you have any more experience with this? I just don't recommend bringing a lot of cash with you, especially if the money places are gonna ding you a little more.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I definitely recommend withdrawing from an ATM. I do think it's a better rate. But some people bring cash and that's fine. I think the most important thing, like Nate said, was just like make sure. So unfortunately, there are some currencies that are more easily exchanged than others. So like euros, dollars, US dollars are pretty easy, Canadian dollars. But yeah, we've had issues with New Zealand dollars and then rupees from Russia. We had a really hard time trying to find someone to exchange the actual, dollars, the bills from certain countries. So yeah, I think it's easiest just to definitely make sure you talk with your bank before you leave the country. Even from the US, notify your bank that you will be traveling to Colombia, because sometimes if you don't notify them, they see a transaction in Colombia, they would expect that it might be fraud or something like that because you hadn't notified them.
And I'd also like to add that, Tim, last year with my bank from the US, I actually just did like a money order for about $7 US, and I was actually able to order as much cash as I wanted. I only paid the money order fee. So it ended up being less than 3%, and I was able to bring over Colombian pesos that way. So speak with your bank to see if they can actually just like send Colombian pesos to your bank for a small fee as well.
Also, while we're on the topic of money, this is really important for everyone to keep in mind. So this program does provide you a stipend, and I think, the stipend is fairly generous to be able to live, comfortably here in Colombia. But do keep in mind that the first month you need to be able to you need to have access to funds in order to kind of live the first month. Why is that? It's because, our payment schedule is a month by month basis. So all coordinators, everyone in the whole organization, even volunteers, we get paid at the end of the month. And for those of you, so this group, you'll be starting teaching mid-June, but you won't have completed a full month with the program. So you actually won't get your first stipend until the end of July. Okay, so keep in mind that you need to have access to funds. You need to have money, from your savings or whatever, in order to sustain sustain yourself here in Colombia until your first payment at the end of July. That's really important.
Thank you very much, Derek. Okay, there's another question. It says, this is from Liz. She says, I'm told that we need to supply proof of a return flight within 180 days from our date of arrival at Colombian Customs. This falls within the term of the semester we're going to be there, sooner than December 15th. How does it work? How does that work? Has anyone purchased a rental flight for their proof of return? Retention to buy an actual return flight because return flights are so up in the air at this point. Lauren, you mentioned something about that in the presentation. Would you mind helping us answer that?
Of course. So yes. Okay. With your flights, you need to supply either a visa or a return flight with 180 days of the date of arrival at Colombian Customs, because 180 days, well, 90 days is what they allow on a tourist permit. So in the event that you do not have a return ticket home and don't have your visa published at this time, then you can rent a ticket on the website noted called Fly Onward. And it's $10 US, and they take care of everything for you so that you don't actually have to buy another ticket or risk spending that money in the event that you don't cancel it in time to cancel a rented ticket or a reserved ticket. So in the event that if you want to buy a return ticket, by all means, I think it's cheaper. But if you want to see if you would like to extend, or also in the event that you have a visa, you don't need to provide a return ticket within 180 days, because you have that proof that you're legally staying, and you also have your contract. So airlines will either ask you for a visa or a return flight to make sure that you're not staying in the country illegally. Yeah. So, and with the renting of a ticket at Fly Onward, we've had even RCs who have done that successfully, and it's a really legit flight. And yeah.
There's a follow-up question also from Liz. She says, if I have my email printed visa printed, I should be okay, right?
You should be, but what I would do is contact your airline to make sure that they don't pull anything when you arrive at the airport, because that would be the worst feeling ever. But just call your airline, tell them that you have a visa PDF document of your printed visa, and whether or not that is sufficient proof, or if they do need a return ticket form you. And if so, you can always do the rented ticket for $10. Sure, no worries.
Daniel Salazar, I have heard that it is a good idea to bring gifts from home for co-teachers and mentors. What type of items, gifts are appreciated or exciting for Colombians? Anybody can help us with this one?
Juan, you're the Colombian. What would you like to receive?
I think that anything that could represent your culture, I don't know, like handcrafts, like something that can somehow bring them like a cultural meaning from you. I don't know, if you come from the States, maybe, I don't know, like a jersey or a hat or I don't know, something small that can be meaningful from the cultural experience and the exchange. Same thing for those who are coming from Africa or coming from Europe. You know, anything that could, show something about your culture, that will be very appreciated and exciting.
So you could always do like, if you live in a big city, you could just bring some postcards or bring like little magnets or those little things that you see like in souvenir shops, like little keychains, just that like has the representation of the city you're from or the country you're from. And those are like really, really appreciated.
And I think
I would add, I would add, just bring like pictures of your family or like the places you frequent at home or anything like that you can show your students. I think that would be really interesting, and they'll also appreciate it.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar to Natalia. I think to be also thinking about, for your students, like for your class. So not necessarily like gifts for your students per se, but just kind of items, cultural items like Juan was talking about, that you could share with your students. I think it's really, really cool, because typically the first couple of classes that the first week or so when you're in the classroom, it's really about introducing yourself, kind of telling the students where you're from, what your background is. And if you can bring pictures, if you can bring, just cultural things. I mean, it's very typical to bring or to have, like a international day. Like sometimes they'll have fairs at the SENA centers and have like a, cultural day. And if you could bring, if you have something that you could bring for something like that, as to show, more in a classroom environment, that'd be really, really cool. A lot of Colombians haven't seen snow before, so I know my students in Medellin always liked when I brought pictures of back home, in Ohio, where they had feet of snow piled up outside of the house. So it's just stuff like that to be able to show your classroom is really fun, just so that they can see the differences in cultures in different parts of the world.
Okay, that we have another question from Tim. It says, when should we plan to have our own accommodation set up? The program says that our first month is covered by our placement city. Considering that it sounds like we'll be departing from our placement locations following orientation in mid-June, is it a month from then, mid-July, or the end of July, when we should plan to move into our own housing situation? Okay, team, so you will be arriving to, let's see, let me.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
He's right. It's mid-July. Mid-July is when they should have their own housing. I think we didn't really clarify. So the week and a half that you're in Bogota for the training, your accommodation, food, everything is paid for. And then the 16th is when you transfer to your home city. So like I was doing the example, Barranquilla. So you would be the 16th traveling to Barranquilla, and that night be checking into the hostel for the first month of housing. So that would be it'd be the 16th of June when you would check in, and you would have it reserved until the 16th of July. So you would be in charge of finding your own housing from the 16th of July onward.
Very good.
Also, can we clarify with the recruitment team? This first month of housing is a benefit that we offer to everyone because we do know it's stressful to have to find a place to stay in a city you've never been to. So like I said, the training in Bogota, we cover your accommodations in a hotel. And then if you say, yes, I do want the first month of accommodation provided in my host city, then we will make that month reservation at a hostel in your host city. Like I said, though, that's optional. So a lot of people do it because they don't want to have to deal with that. They don't want the headache of having to find a place to stay for the first month. But can recruitment team confirm until when do they have the opportunity to notify you whether they do want that first month covered or if they'd rather not have the first month of housing and instead get 500,000 pesos?
Yes, so our deadline was last Friday, actually. But we know that some people have been accepted quite recently. So basically, as soon as you can, please let your recruiter or your advisor know if you will want that, the housing or the 500,000. If we don't hear from you by this next Friday, we'll just have to assume that you want the housing and not the 500,000 pesos extra. So we'll just book your hostel, and basically once it's booked, there's nothing we can do because obviously logistics needs to know that as soon as possible so they can do all the bookings. So please, as soon as possible, you haven't told us, and definitely by this Friday.
Okay, thank you very much, Natalia. We have another question from Rachel. She's already thinking about extending. For those of us who might consider extending through 2017, do you happen to know the start date and will be staying in an original placement city, or do volunteers get assigned somewhere new?
So Rachel, towards the end of this year, recruitment is going to send out a kind of like a survey, or just like send out an email to see if you're interested in extending your program. So the start dates are usually around the beginning of February. When I started, it was February 1st. This last year, it was February 8th or 9th. So it's typically the first week of February. And they actually give you the option as an extender to request your top 3 cities of choice. So you can actually make your top 3 choices.
Sorry, that's not an option anymore. If you No, you're not allowed to switch cities.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, that was really aggressive. But,
No, continue on, answer.
yeah, so that's a new policy that we've had because we prefer consistency in the schools. So in regards to extension, in the event that you are placed in Bogota, Medellin, Bucaramanga, and you wish to extend, you cannot request a switch to another city. Your request will be to stay in Medellin and in your same school as well. Unless there's a problem in your school with your mentor or anything like that, that we can arrange, but within the same city. But in the event that you wish to, if you're coming and you think, oh, well, I can be here for 6 months and then I can go to Cartagena for 6 months and then I can go to Bucaramanga for 6 months. It's to extend, it would be to stay in your same city. And we do give help on visa extensions and everything. We're actually in that process right now.
Okay, thank you very much, Lauren. We have another question from Liz. She says, if we have already arranged for housing in our host city, will we get the additional 500,000 pesos stipend at the same time as a regular first monthly stipend, end of July, deposited? Yes, Liz. It is not necessarily like on the same day, but it's within the same day, like same week that you will be receiving the 500,000 pesos for your housing if you opt out of the option of accommodation. Okay, anybody else? Okay, what exactly will orientation or training in Bogota be like? I will invite Nathan to help us out with this question.
Yeah, so orientation and training in Bogota is going to be about a week and a half. We're going to have different workshops and things every day. So when you arrive, we're going to collect all your documents. We're going to help you set up your healthcare, your bank accounts. We're going to help get your visa stamped in. We're going to take you downtown to get your national ID card. We're going to try and get you all set up that way. In between those, SENA is going to come and teach us all about like what they're about, co-teaching. We're going to have teaching workshops, like TEFL workshops. So the coordinators will be instructing you and giving you tips and training on how to actually go into your SENA centers and teach. And then towards the end of the program, towards the end of the orientation, you'll actually have a chance to go into the SENA center in Bogota, and you'll actually get to practice what you've learned and teach in one of their English classes there. So we're hoping that from beginning to end, we can get you all the documents and all the things you need to be a legal, fully supported working resident in Colombia, along with all the training you need to become a prepared worker, a prepared teacher in the SENA Center. So most days will begin at around 8 or 9 a.m. and finish around 5 or 6 p.m. with, of course, lunch in the middle. So it's going to be very, very full, and there's going to be lots and lots of information. So bring your energy and get a lot of sleep, but you're going to be fully prepared to go to your center and be good to go. You have any other questions about Bogota?
Bogota, I think this is important. I'm going to mention two important aspects in this. Number one, arriving to the orientation site. As you know, we provide transportation from when you get to the airport to the hotel where the orientation will be held. Very important that when you get to the international arrivals exit, you look out for someone with the distinctive sign, blue sign of Volunteers Colombia. There will be someone either with a t-shirt that has the logo Volunteers Colombia in front of them, it's a light blue t-shirt, or with a sign waiting for you. If you do not see someone as right in front as you come out, go to the left to the Café Oma. It's a small coffee place that is right in the right as you come out of the exit of international arrivals, and you turn left, and you will find a cafe. That is the meeting point. That is where we will be waiting for you when you arrive. Bogota, it's high up in terms of altitude. It's about 2,300 meters above sea level, so it can be cold. It can be cold at night. Lately, we've been having good days in Bogota, but it gets cold at night. So bring warm clothes, especially for the week of orientation, and then based on where you are going in the region of Colombia, then be prepared for that weather as well. Anybody else would like to add something to the logistics or to the Bogota orientation?
Yeah, so I think hopefully this goes without saying, but just to clarify because of experiences in the past, we provide transportation to the hotel and like based on your arrival, if you arrive on Sunday the 5th. So the program itself starts Sunday the 5th. If you arrive to Bogota that day, make sure you send your itinerary to the recruitment team. We'll set up the pickup schedule. We'll be waiting there with the T-shirt, and we will take you back to the hotel with the group. But if you decide to arrive early, even a day early, if you arrive on the 4th, even if you send your itinerary to the recruitment team, if you're arriving early, then we're not taking you into consideration for that transportation, because that transportation is only guaranteed on Sunday the 5th. So if you do arrive to Bogota early, that's totally fine. Like I said before, that means that then transportation, lodging, and anything like that is going to be your responsibility. Once the 5th rolls around, you have the option of either going back to the airport and meeting up with the group at the airport, and we'll provide the transportation to the hotel. Or you can also just go directly to the hotel, which is in Chapinero, and meet the group at the hotel. That doesn't matter either way, but just do keep in mind our program officially starts on the 5th, no matter what time you arrive into the country. Another thing to keep in mind is that you are responsible for any additional costs for luggage. This is really important, and I think, does anyone know, do you remember if it's 25, I think it's 25 kilograms? It's in that travel logistics thing. Hold on one second. 25, yeah. So essentially what I'm trying to say is, like, for your own concern, just I recommend packing light. It's much easier if you don't have 5 different bags to drag around. But also, logistics wise, when you arrive to Bogota, we have the training, and then we pay for the flight for you to get to your placement city. But that is a national flight within Colombia. So, from Bogota to Cartagena, for example, that flight we cover, but we do not pay for any extra baggage fees that you might incur. Most domestic airlines allow 25 kilos total for the bags that you check. Okay. So if your checked bags are going to be more than 25 kilo, then just know that you will have to, on that day that we fly to our regions, you're going to be in charge of paying for the overweight bag fee. So keep that in mind when you're packing. If you can keep it below 25, that'll save you some hassle and some money during during the domestic flight.
Okay, we have another question from Amanda. If you arrive on the 4th and coming back to the airport on the 5th to meet up with the group, will I be able to find the Oma Cafe? Yes. All you have to do is go to the first floor in the international arrival and walk into the airport and go right, and you will find the Oma Cafe there. Or you can just try to ask someone where the Oma Cafe is, and they will be able to guide you. But it's very easy to find spot.
Yeah, it's a big red cafe. It's very hard to miss. It's big and red, and it's right next to a subway. But really, yeah, in the international arrivals, it's very obvious. It's just a big red coffee shop.
Very good. If we don't have any more questions, then I would like to thank you. And on behalf of the Volunteers Colombia team and the SENA team and all of us here in the office, we would like to welcome you to the program. And we look forward to meeting you, and I hope you have a safe trip to Colombia. We'll be waiting for you at the Vilar Hotel in Bogota. So have a wonderful afternoon, evening, from wherever you are connected now, and we will see you soon. Goodbye.